SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute.
Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. I am Steve Azar reminding you that my pals over there in Macon, Mississippi, they're producing the catfish. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com. Tell them I sent you. Visit Mississippi.org as your music and culture ambassador of this hallowed ground we call Mississippi. Oh yeah, I urge you to take a road trip somewhere in Mississippi you hadn't been in a while. Discover our cool culture and history. Speaking of history, there's a whole lot of history being made over in Texas. I can tell you, I got a lot of Texas songwriter, artist friends I've made music in the past with, and my guest today is an Austin-based musician and producer, songwriter, artist, originally from Oklahoma. Started his career in churches as a kid, as I did. He and Steve Allen, both Tulsa-born and raised, moved to California in the 70s and started their band 2020. The Hollywood-based power pop group released several albums and tracks up until the late 90s. He and Allen reunited, hallelujah, recently for a reunion album titled Back to California, which was released this past January. He is the chief recording engineer and producer at Jumpin' Dog Studios, a full-service recording studio and production house. Many great acts have been recorded there. Recently, he produced Two True Loves for acclaimed musical duo Jim Patton and Sherry Brocas, who was on my show. He also played bass, keyboards, acoustic guitar, sang, did harmony, you name it, he was on the record. The best engineers do that. He and Jim, their latest album, by the way, going back a little bit to the 2020 days, and this new album, Back to California, as a follow-up to 2023's Big Red Gibson, skipping right over the folk album that came out in between, as Jim put it. So let's get to it right now with a wonderful, talented man, great soul, and Ron Flint. What's up, Ron?
Hey, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me. I want to thank our mutual friend, Rob Evanoff, who sent you my way.
Yes. How about that?
Good guy. We're going to have him on Mississippi Delta soil at our 14th annual charity event, my wife and I foundation, in a couple weeks, so we're excited about hosting him.
Now,
Good
where's
guy.
that at?
Down here in Greenville, Mississippi. I'm many generations back. Yeah, on the river. Have you ever made it to the Delta?
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Maybe besides Oklahoma and California, I've spent most time in Mississippi. My grandparents were there. My daddy was born in Mount Olive.
Get out of here.
So we would go to Jackson every summer. Every summer.
Oh, well, you got Mississippi roots. No wonder you're as good as you are.
Ah, well, that's
I like to take credit. I like to give Mississippi credit with all our friends. So let's talk real quick. I'm going to ask you, do we have any mutual friends? Like, I made a record on my label, and he's a dear pal. He made the record Plenty on my label, Walt Wilkins.
Yes. Yeah.
Love Walt. Pat Green's a buddy. And Radney Foster and I have written a number of songs together back in our day. I love him.
Oh, he's great.
Do you ever work with Walter, Pat, or
I work with Walt all the time. We're putting the finishing touches on a new Walt Wilkins record. He's got a record coming out on vinyl here real soon. He's producing another boy from he lives in Memphis now, but he's from Mississippi. Brian Blake.
Cool.
We're working on that record right now. And we're working on a record for a singer-songwriter from New England, Grace Morrison. So, yeah, we're doing a lot. We sure are.
Let's talk about I spent 20 years in Nashville, and it seemed to be the place. I started out going to Los Angeles and New York, and as a teenager got real close to Atlantic with Ahmet Ertegun and all that, but they couldn't figure me out, and neither could I figure me out at the time. But Nashville ended up being the right spot for me, songwriter-wise and all that, and just to sort of figure myself out along the way. Why Austin for you now?
Oh, yeah, that's a big circle. I from Oklahoma State, Stillwater, I moved to California right after I graduated. Then we were on CBS for 5 years, and then we were on a little independent label for a couple of years, and then we got dropped. So as it happens.
Yeah.
Moved back home to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Then Sony bought CBS and put our first couple of records out, which sparked some interest for some other independent labels. So 2020 made a few more records. Then from Broken Arrow, I wound up in Dallas for a couple of years. And then after Dallas, we moved for the family. By then we have family, 3 kids. We moved down to Austin because it seemed like a better fit, musically for me at any rate. Even though I loved Dallas. So we had a great time there. But Austin has been home now since 95.
Wow. Yeah.
And, it has a deep musical tradition, not unlike Nashville, New York, and California, Los Angeles. And I really enjoy that. I love the friends that I've made here and the deep sense of musicality that's in this town.
I love the way you guys make records. And when I went over there and made a couple records there and worked with some artists there as well, I learned, and I don't want you to take this wrong. I want you to take this as a compliment. We can polish things so much in Nashville that you lose the honesty in a record. And I felt like when I went and I was there, I felt like I learned it felt like more Mississippi. There was just a little bit of looseness, more grease, more on the backbeat. There was just things that made me realize, look, let's don't be so hard on a record. Let's let it be. Sometimes. Yeah. And not so study it, so analyze it. And I feel like you guys were having more fun than a lot of us in Nashville. I guess that's the best way to explain it. It was a big help for me. Let me ask you this. You're sitting behind that board back there. We've all learned how to do enough of this, and I've learned how to do just enough, but I've never gone as far as you have. Were you always sort of engineer minded?
I think so. When we got signed to CBS, the producer that we hired was a fellow, Earl Mankey, who worked for Brother Records, excuse me, and did a bunch of stuff with the Beach Boys. So he was a really he is a very talented guy, and he was very generous with his knowledge. He wasn't one of these guys. No, you're the singer. You just go sit back there on the couch and smoke marijuana while I do this thing. He was great about explaining things. And then the next large producer that we worked with was a fellow, Richie Podler. And he produced all kinds of big hits, a lot of Steppenwolf songs and stuff like that. And his engineer, Bill Cooper, again, was very generous with his time. And then the next producer that we worked with was Steve Ripley. And Ripley had a band called Tractors who did very, very well. He bought the church studio here and back home. And Rip was a really close friend, and he taught me a whole lot. Then, God, this is a long answer.
No, it's good. It's good.
After the 2020 records were reissued, I got a solo deal with a Rounder. And instead of taking the Advance into a studio, I bought a couple ADATs, a couple good microphones, and then here in Austin, I started making demos for folks. And then it grew from there, kind of out of control. And I learned on the job. So I think that's how a lot of people do it.
You guys are built a little different minded because you go all the way with it. The ADAT thing, I had my first hits on ADAT, but we took them and we threw them onto tape. On the 2-inch because they were just, that MIDI sort of, there was something harsh about it. And we figured out, man, let's throw this on 2-inch just to warm it up. And it worked.
It absolutely.
Really, really helped. But ADAT was sort of the thing back then. Let's take a quick break. We're with Ron Flint, incredible producer, Austin based, grew up in Oklahoma, has Mississippi roots as you have just learned and I've learned. Spent time in California. Their latest record by 2020, his band he founded back in the day, is called Back to California. It's out. as of last January. So check it out. I'm Steve Azar, spending time with you in a Mississippi Minute. Always grateful, by the way. Always grateful. Superior Catfish, homegrown and produced right here in Mississippi. There's catfish. There's Superior Catfish. The math always adds up. And visit Mississippi.org. Plan a road trip to this hallowed ground we call Mississippi. We'll be right back.
I'm that a broken down car in the 8 a.m. traffic, bumper to bumper, nobody's laughing, I'm crowded. I'm the waitress in LA, way past the prime, shoulder to shoulder, half of my line, I'm crowded.
You know that nowadays, most people go online to look at a business before they spend their money. What if the online information about your business is incorrect, or even worse, not very flattering? If your online presence isn't great, you may be losing customers. STMM Digital's trusted and highly trained team is the answer. We're ready to work with you to help your business capitalize on the power of digital marketing. Call 601-991-2305 or go to stmmdigital.com to get started today.
The best made.
Rolling into a Mississippi Minute, as I often say, Superior Catfish allows me to do this show. Special folks over there in Macon, Mississippi, over by Hell State. Go to SuperiorCatfish.com. My guest today, Ron Flint, music extraordinaire, really spent a wonderful life and career in music and really just getting started. Me and him are a little older, but we don't like to think of that. The music keeps us young. But he's hung out in Mississippi back in the day. Go to SuperiorCatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Are you kidding me? Check out one of the blues trail markers. They'll lead you all the way to Liverpool. All right. Ron Flint is my guest today. The new record's 2020 by the new album is called Back to California. His band 2020 made records back in the days in the 90s, and now he has spent a lot of time making records, sharing his wealth of knowledge and love of music with so many places down at Jumpin' Dog Studios in Austin. So many artists he has touched. Hey, Ron, you know, the one thing when I was doing the artist thing with other producers, and it wasn't me, I've made my last record since 2006, self-produced them all. But back in the day, I worked with some incredible producers, and they would take my songs and they meant well, but they were trying to make me them, and they were always driving. And I always talk about this. As I learned to really do it myself and spent time, I realized that as an artist, the producer should be riding shotgun. And that artist, you got to really push that artist to really be themselves. And when you take them out of the driver's seat, a lot of times, especially if they're the writers of the song and they're the artists themselves, you sort of lose the essence of who they're supposed to be. And so I've really paid attention to that. How about you as an artist versus a producer?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. After 2020 got signed, we were in the market for a producer, and one of the ones that came up was Phil Spector. So we spent a bunch of time with him. We went to his house, which was a wonderful experience.
Sure.
And I'm a huge Beatle fan, and getting to talk to him, you know, the guy who was in the room, was a wonderful experience. But the very thing that you're talking about is how, if you make a record with Phil Spector, first it's a Phil Spector record, and it's going to sound like that. We had just done a bunch of dates with the Ramones, and they had just finished making a record with Phil, and they had that exact experience. When the Ramones, you know how the Ramones sound.
Sure.
Well, Phil put his polish on them, and they had their biggest hit with him, so that was a good thing too, but it wasn't necessarily the way he sounded. Now, with Phil, the experience that we had, that he was very generous with his ideas about songs, and he helped us quite a bit. We did not wind up going with him because, he was a little wacky, you know.
Yeah.
So it didn't, with especially mine and Steve's Oklahoma sort of, sensibility, that wasn't going to work.
Right.
So we moved on to someone who did exactly what you're talking about, who helped us bring out whatever it was we were.
Right.
He captured it and brought it out.
My buddy Henry Gross, who had the song Shannon, was his biggest hit.
I love that song.
Yeah, so he worked with, I think Phil produced that record. I may be wrong, but I think he did.
Yeah.
And getting to know him, he didn't remind me of anything of that record when he'd play me the song. I mean, it was that kind of record you're talking about. Obviously, it was a big hit. It worked. But Henry was a different kind of guy to me, especially when he sat there with the guitar. You really understood him. And I think he actually worked with Croce back in the days before Croce passed and everything. And that was really more who he was. But interesting to talk to him about those experiences as well. And I think it drove him into recording and doing his own thing also. Let's talk about you and Steve Allen. And first of all, how does that relationship start?
Well, it started in the 5th grade on the baseball team. We had both moved to a new part of Tulsa in East Tulsa. Most of the roads were still dirt when both of us moved in there. We went to a new elementary school, and we were the two new kids, and they put us on a baseball team together. Found out that we had both. Steve had already been playing guitar for quite a while. Found out we were both into that. Steve was taking lessons from Eldon Shamblin, who was the guitarist for the Texas the Bob Wills and Texas Playboys.
Wow.
Eldon taught guitar lessons out of a music store in Tulsa. So we would get together and we would try to just learn stuff together. And pretty soon we wrote our first song called Girlfriend. I think we were still in 6th grade at this point, 6th or 7th grade. And then we stayed friends and played music together through high school. We both went to Oklahoma State. Steve moved to California before I did. He wasn't interested in a music degree. So he moved out, I think it was right around Thanksgiving. And then that June, I moved out, and we sort of stuck with it for all this time. Now, we took some time off, a decade
sure,
here.
Yeah, you did. But I love the fact that this relationship was deep. I mean, like you start on the baseball field to me, or on a basketball court or whatever, playing sports together. That thing runs extra deep because you win and you lose together and you experience all these emotions, and that sets you up for a wonderful relationship and career. Tulsa wise. Tulsa's been an influence on a lot of folks. You get towns along the way, Athens, Seattle, everybody has their moments. So for you, Tulsa-wise, obviously playing in churches, I did the same thing. I'm Catholic, and I led our church, our youth deal, from about 8th grade to 12th grade, and would write songs for meditation. And that was a big help to me. So for you, church obviously played an influence, and Tulsa, what were the magic sauce for you there?
Well, Leon Russell is from, God rest his soul, was from Tulsa. He founded a record company, Shelter Records. He built a big, beautiful studio, had Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on Shelter, and a good friend of mine, Dwight Twilley, who went on to his reward last summer. Dwight had a big hit with the song called I'm on Fire, and it was very much the kind of music that I was really into. Because at the time, radio was a different sort of place. There were big, polished, mega Journey-style records, and then there was records like Leon was making.
Yeah.
But Dwight's music was very British sounding, very Beatle oriented, and I was really into that. And then the fact that he was from Tulsa and he had this hit on Shelter, it was a validation, if you will. Not that we needed validation, but it's always good to see, so he did it. This is what he did. We could do the same thing. So in high school, we started taking tapes over to the receptionist at Shelter. Now, who knows whether anybody ever listened to him or not. But then our buddy Steve Ripley, was working there. He moved to California. He helped us get a single deal with a little label. So that's our business connection to Tulsa. But then the music of Tulsa, the swampy pop sound of Leon and J.J. Cale, those guys, it's a big influence. You know, a pop song in 3 minutes that tells a story.
Yeah.
That's like music school in some ways.
Wow. We're with Ron Flint. He's hanging out in his studio. I'm in my little home studio. He's in a real studio over there, Jumping Dog Studios. And it's really been great to get to know him so far in a Mississippi Minute. I just recently, no, I say recently, but it was my last time to do the Bluebird, but it was within a year ago with Danny Flowers. Me and Danny and, he whipped out Tulsa Time and it was like, okay, all right, we got nothing. Me and James House. James House is a mutual buddy of mine. James has been writing a whole lot of, Bonamassa's, tunes over the last 4 albums, and James and I probably wrote 40, 50 songs together, so it was good to share that stage. We're with Ron Flint, Steve Azar here in a Mississippi Minute, Superior Catfish. Oh yeah, homegrown and produced right here in Mississippi. Ron can get the catfish if he goes to store.superiorcatfish.com. It'll make it to Austin, no problem. And visit Mississippi.org. Man, a lot of synergy, a lot of love between where Ron is right now, where he's grown up, his musical background, and Mississippi. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now. From the Seabrook. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
The name of the album is Back to California. It was released in January. The name of the artist, 2020. I've got half of the co-founding member of that band today, my guest Ron Flint, who's in his recording studio in Austin right now. He has made a big impact on music since he decided to make it his life, which was okay at the age of 10. But besides that, I'm excited to have him on right now. You got to check out their music, 2020. We'll talk about some other stuff. He just made a record with Jim Patton and Sherry Brokus. She is a sweetheart. Two True Loves that he produced, and he was all over the record musically. And as she said, you guys have an incredible relationship. Speaking of relationships, I appreciate my friends over there in Macon, Mississippi, Superior Catfish. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. It's a song. And I appreciate having the official state song of Mississippi more than you know, my greatest achievement in life. So thank you guys for allowing me to live long enough, especially in Mississippi, come back home after 20 years in Music City and see Mississippi. It was just so vivid, all the memories of growing up and getting to write about it like I should have been writing about it when I was younger. So thanks for the patience. Ron is my guest today, Ron Flint. Ron, in your California days, what was it hard to leave? So for me, leaving Nashville, things were really going. I had the biggest managers, the biggest agents, the best stuff going on. Just got through touring with Bob Seger for almost a year. I mean, so everything was rolling. My independent label, I started there. I came up with my third #1 music video, a top 20 record, and I was fighting my old Universal. The Dragon was on Mercury, turned into Universal, and I was really in a good place, and we just decided to move home, which took a little bit of a toll, but it's been magic for me, especially magic for my kids. I was on the road most of my life. I had a lot of reasons why I moved back. For you, leaving L.A. and then going to Austin, was that, first of all, the move you made, or was there anywhere in between, and what got you out of California?
Well, getting dropped from I guess it was the second major label that I was on. I told myself I had a certain amount of money. I got a publishing advance from Bug Music, and
one of the big ones, by the way.
Well, it was yeah.
Bug, but take the U out and put an I in it, and it was a big one.
It was, and I was friends with Dan and Fred. I'd known them since I first moved out there. We used to go hang out in their offices in that old building there on Highland. And I got some money. I put it aside, and I said, no, once this certain dollar amount in the bank shows up, that's when I know I'm not getting anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then my partner Steve, he wanted to take a break from 2020 because we had been grinding at it hard for 7 years. So my parents had a place in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So I put what was left of what I had in an Audi Fox and drove home and slept for I think about a week or so.
Man, you're making, now I'm starting to go into a dark place right now. There was a lot of times I slept for a week or so, and my wife said, "You got to get out of bed."
Yeah,
because it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, it did. And I had been working so hard for so long.
Yeah.
And my parents were so sweet, very Southern, very religious people, and they took the prodigal son in and gave me a room and fixed me meals all the time. So
kill the fatted calf. I love it.
Well, there you go. So that's how I got from Cal. But for me, leaving California, I felt a little defeated, honestly. Mm-hmm. I thought I had every opportunity, and I did. I had great management. I had the biggest record companies in the world, and maybe my songwriting was so sporadic that I just couldn't put it where it needed to go. And there was nobody to blame but myself. And it's not that I didn't try, because I did. I worked at it. But even after coming out of music school, and I had a good musical background, for some reason, I just couldn't come up with enough of the material that resonated with enough of the people. So
that's interesting you're saying that. I just want to just intervene here for a second and let you know that you're not alone. That we all, to become a really honest songwriter, it's almost like you got to set the pressure aside, and then we try, when you try so hard, I feel like the trying gets in the way sometimes. And so I think it was a matter of time and living. You had to live and hurt a certain amount and go into places. And then the songs, they sort of wrote themselves at some point. I know you've gotten to that point in your life. It's happened for me, and I just don't stress anymore,
Yeah.
I get it. I get where you were, man.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And for me, waiting on the song and trying to be in good musical shape for when it gets here, that's where I'm trying to be. And then also to be able to help other songwriters find the thing that is right there at their fingertips. And for whatever reason, sometimes as songwriters, the thing that is that close to us, we just need someone to say, "Hey, how about a minor 6 there instead of that 4 chord?"
Exactly.
How about change? You just said the title to the song. Maybe you make that your chorus. Just someone to help. So I do a lot. I do a lot of working with songwriters, and then I do a lot of learning from songwriters. I learn from Walt Wilkins every day.
Well, who doesn't, right?
Yeah. How can you not? Yeah,
I love writing with Walt. One of the songs on my record, I Won't Let You Leave Me Down. I'd written the first verse and the chorus, and I went to him, and then, of course, he put his stamp on it. We went into the next verse in the bridge. I said, "Holy Moses, where are you from?" You know, and it was biblical. It's the only way I can explain Walt. He's the most biblical guy I've ever been around in the music business.
Oh,
you know? Yeah. I mean, it's religious when you're with him. You know, with Radney, it's like you're being educated. I feel like he's the professor and I'm Gilligan on Gilligan's Island. You know, you get into these places with these writers and stuff. You know, I love hearing you talk about mentoring the future. And wouldn't it have been great? I had some of this. I had great publishers. Roger Murrah, he was songwriter of the decade at one point. He wrote the autobiographical record with Waylon Jennings, the whole thing. And so Roger was fantastic for me, but I wasn't prepared for the way he was teaching me or allow me. I mean, it was the same old every day, eat the Captain Crunch, drink coffee, go into your room, and let's see what you come up with. You know, it was just a sterile environment for me coming off the road and being a road musician my whole life. And then there was a guy named Mark Allen Springer who I took his place. Mark Allen had tons of number ones from a small town in Weiner, Arkansas, was a really good basketball player, played college basketball and all that. But he would say, okay, we've started our company together and we had our hits together. And he says, go away. You know, you can be writing this song while you're driving. Go build something. Just get out of this environment and go, you know what I mean? And that was a huge help for me. It freed me up somewhat. And things started to roll, and I started to get to know myself. But it was a guy named Rafe Van Hoy who was the guy when I was just went to write one song with him. And then we started making the music at midnight, you know, and it was amazing because I was really ready for him. And he was the guy that really urged me to grab, you know, get some recording gear, start doing it myself. And I started to find myself immediately with him. Let's take a quick break. Ron Flynn is my guest today. I'm sorry for running my mouth too much. Ron's got me conjuring up all sorts of images. Some I really like to talk about, and some are going to make me go put my thumb in my mouth and hang out in a corner. Superior Catfish, that's what I want in my mouth right now. Go to superiorcatfish.com. Made and produced right here in Mississippi, and visit Mississippi.org. I'm using that word recently. I was not too long ago on the doing a blues trail marker, and I had Stevie Ray Vaughan's Jimmy Bond to my left, and I had Buddy Guy to my right, and Buddy was getting the trail marker, and I felt like I was a football going through the uprights. I'll be right back with Ron Flint. Don't go nowhere. The album Back to California is out. It was just released this year. Big old reunion between him and his long lifetime buddy Steve Allen. The band's called 2020. We'll be right back.
Nobody's laughing, I'm crowded. I'm the waitress in LA, way past the prime, shoulder to shoulder, half of my line, I'm crowded. $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music, Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
At Watkins Construction.
Flying down that levee road, trying to see how fast you go. I got my baby along for the ride.
I stumbled today, but that's part of it. Nothing wrong with stumbling as long as you stumble over something good. Speaking of something good, Superior Catfish, as good as it gets. Head on over to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Oh, it sounds like a song to me. My new pal right here, Ron Flint, who I've known about for many years. He doesn't know that, but I've heard of the studio and I'm excited to have him on today. Thank you, Rob, for allowing us the time to get to really know each other. Their album 2020 is the name of his band, Back to California. Him and his buddy Steve Allen played baseball back in the days, as you heard, and became bandmates for a lot of years. Went back to the studio, and it's been since the 90s, it sounds like. So they've had some good records out. Check them out. And Ron, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you.
I thank you. Thank you. Let's talk about the name 2020. I mean, that was the name you guys came up with. Do you have recollection of why?
No, I don't. But when Steve got to California, he met a fellow, Mike Gallo, from Buffalo, a drummer. And I think Mike had this idea about a band called 2020. Steve and I have had some of the worst band names ever, for going all the way back to elementary school. And I mean some bad names. And I didn't have much of a sense about it. Mike seemed to be pretty sure. So there you go. And I was, at first I wasn't all that, what does it mean? Isn't it supposed to mean something? You know, like the Beatles, B-A-T-L-E-S. It's the beat. Yeah, okay, yeah, it means something. The Stones, it clearly means something.
Muddy.
And 2020, well, but at any rate, it seemed to work. It stuck, and there you go.
The Alan Parsons Project. That's kind of a cool name, you know.
That's a great name.
Oh, man, what a great eye in the sky. Are you kidding me? Okay, so what's next for you?
Well, for 2020, it looks like we might be doing a few more dates. We just played a wildly successful show in California last month. So I think we might play another date or two here in Austin. We've got an offer from we might have an offer from a festival in Spain.
Wow, that's fun.
Maybe I'd like to. I've never been to Europe. I'd love to do it. Then we're thinking about doing a date in New York, maybe in the fall. So
beautiful. You know, you're a musician at heart, and it's the first thing you did, and you've been on stage the first things you ever did, right? Even when you were at church, you were on stage. So, and you're in the studio right now. You're sitting in your throne right there. When you get on stage, do you miss it? Like, is it like, oh baby, this is what I do?
Well, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I play a lot. I play with Walt Wilkins a lot. In fact, every week. But when we walked on stage in Los Angeles, I think it was the 12th of April. The place was sold out. Pretty good size club. When I first got there, I thought, oh no, this is way too big. This is not going to work, because we haven't played in, I want to say 15 years maybe.
Yeah.
But then it filled up. There was excitement. Everyone was a lot of fans had traveled from all over the country to come see the band, and also to meet up with their old friends. So there's a little bit of a reunion feeling to it. But it was so thrilling to walk on stage. And my son is our drummer now.
Oh man, come on!
To do it with him,
the rhythm section. Come on.
Yeah. It's good to have a drummer in the family.
It is. Especially that can play.
My son is great. He's been playing since just a little kid. But anyway, the look on his face when the crowd is roaring and the lights are, all pro and everything, it was a wonderful experience. And
wow.
I missed playing with 2020 more than I would miss playing with other folks, I think.
Well, yeah, because that was a part of your life that you, man, come on, think about that time. It was invigorating, although it was hard, right?
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
the toughest time of your life as far as in the music business, but there was something so beautiful about the toughest time.
Yeah.
Me too. You know,
Sure.
you look back and you go, okay, there was the reasons for those, but man, that was fun battling like that, you know.
And you think about those tours, and you think about, oh, yeah, we went to the Empire State Building. Yeah, well, we slept on a bus for a month too. So
yeah.
But you can forget about that part. Not that that's bad, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Wow, I love it.
And there's something about being in a band where the things that go well, they seem sweeter, and the things that don't go well, you absorb them easier when there's people to share it with.
Oh man, I love that. That's the way we're going to end this. That's saying it all right there. That was the icing on the cake. I appreciate you, Ron. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Ron Flint, folks. 2020, the album Back to California is out. A reunion album. I love that. And as you can tell, salt of the earth. This man spent a whole lot of his life from the age of his baseball uniforms. So that you think about that. For us that didn't make it, you know, past Pony League or Dixie League, that was a long time ago. Visit Mississippi.org, celebrating the arts here with the birthplace of America's music. Texas is, man, come on. What an influence they have made on the world. Folks like Ron Flint. Superior Catfish, my pals over there in Macon, Mississippi. I appreciate them so much. I've been there, watched them do their thing, and they put love into it, I can promise you. I love you guys. Happy weekend. I'm Steve Azar.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.